Hello everyone, welcome back. It's so nice to be here with you once again. So in this episode, I wanted to show you how I prepare for a house guest to make them feel really special. Now my friend Gabby is coming to stay with me from Paris, so I thought that it would be a nice opportunity to do that. Now speaking of Paris, you may remember that a few months ago I was learning French with Babbel. Now this video is sponsored by Babbel, one of the top language learning apps in the world, so I just wanted to share with you why it's worked out well for me. So the main reason why I wanted to learn a new language, I think the last time I spoke about this, I mentioned that I was going on holiday to Europe and I just wanted to be polite and be able to converse in the language, which after working with Babbel for a little bit, I was able to do. Now, I also want to be able to just communicate with different people around the world. The world is getting a smaller place thanks to social media, and you can make friends so easily through Instagram and other apps. So I just want to be able to converse in another language rather than just English. I think sometimes us English people can be seen as a little bit lazy because everybody speaks English. So it's nice for me to be able to speak different languages as well. Now one of the reasons why Babbel has worked out so well for me is because it's just so simple to use. Now they have 10-minute interactive lessons, which means that I can just go about my day, and then when I have a little 10-minute break, I can hop onto the app and use it, and it really does help me to remember those little things and keep it fresh in my brain. One of the things that I particularly struggle with when I'm learning a new language is the pronunciation. You may have seen in previous videos when I've had to pronounce a French brand or something like that, and a lot of you comment to tell me that I didn't say it quite right. So pronunciation is a real key thing that I want to improve on. One of the best things that I've found about Babbel is that it has speech recognition technology, so it listens to the way that I pronounce words and then gives me feedback to see how I can improve, so that when Gabby comes to see me, she'll be a little bit more impressed with my pronunciation. So I always like to share with you what I'm up to, and I hope that you will support me in my language learning. And also, if you've been inspired to learn a language because of this, please do let me know. Let me know in the comments which language you'd like to learn and for what reason. Like I said, my reasons were that I just want to be able to communicate with people around the world, but the reason for you might be different. So I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. So to support you with this, I'm delighted to tell you that I can offer you 60% off a subscription with Babbel, and I'll leave all the information in the description of this video. I hope that you will join me in getting my house ready for Gabby, my French house guest. I'm going to share with you all the ways that I do that to make her feel really special, from choosing beautiful bed linens and making up a beautiful bed, creating a really gorgeous breakfast tray so that she can have breakfast in bed in the morning, and then just how I add little special touches to my home to make it special for her. I think it's so lovely to have people come to your house. As you know, I've always liked to have a beautiful home, but there's no point in having that unless you're going to be able to share it with other people. So for me, having guests and entertaining is what living is all about. So obviously when people are coming to my house, I always like to make sure that it's properly cleaned. Now I keep my house clean and tidy anyway, but when people are coming over, I just like to make sure that everything is looking perfect. One of the most polite things that you can do for someone is make your home feel beautiful and comfortable, and if it's not the cleanest, then they're always going to feel a little bit on edge and not totally relaxed. I like to make my own dusting solution in one of these glass bottles, and what I do is I use water, some white vinegar, which helps to disinfect and cut through grease, a little bit of olive oil, which buffs and shines your furniture, and then I like to use a little bit of essential oil just to give a nice fragrance. So in here I've got a rose essential oil. So this is a really great dusting solution. Obviously it's organic and non-toxic, so when you have pets in the house, and even just for yourself, I always like to use that rather than buying it from a store. And then I just use a lint-free cloth, spray it on and dust, and I find that it really works very well. Next, I like to vacuum the floors before mopping. A fun fact about this vacuum cleaner, it's the one they use in royal households. It's really heavy duty and works so well. For mopping, I like to use boiling water, a little bit of bleach, tiny bit, just so that it really kills all germs. And then I use Zaflora. So this is not sponsored in any way. This is something that I've been using for a while and I genuinely like. Actually, my mom has been using this for years, so when I use this, it really reminds me of home and of my mom, so that's what I'm using now. And you just put a little bit of this into a mop bucket and it eliminates odours, kills bacteria, and the nicest thing is that it gives a beautiful fragrance. So that is what I use to mop. Now that my house is looking clean, I'm going to take a 10-minute break and practice my French with Babbel.
Faire de la plongée.
Faire de la plongée.
Faire de la plongée. Faire du parapente.
Faire du parapente.
Faire du parapente.
Faire du parapente.
Faire sa valise.
Nicest and most thoughtful things you can do for your guest is to make sure that you make them a beautiful bed. So try to choose the best linens that you can afford. Good linens can be really expensive. These ones on my bed are by Frette. That's one of my favorite linen companies from Italy. It's very old and they actually used to provide the linen for the Orient Express. So it is very luxurious, beautiful linen, and it was a real investment piece. It cost me a lot of money, but I think going to bed, being asleep, is one of the most luxurious things about life. Climbing into bed at the end of a long day, no matter what worries you've had, if you can just get in bed and it's cozy and relaxing, you can kind of just switch off and forget about everything. Also with these sheets, they do last a very long time. These will probably last me the whole of my life. And what I found is that after you wash them again and again and again and press them, they just seem to get even more beautiful. So yes, think about the type of linen that you have. Try and make a beautiful bed with the linen that you have. Your guest will really enjoy it and it will make them feel so special. So another thing that I really love to do when I have a guest staying over is to find them some reading material that they might like to look through whilst they're on their own. So for example, when we both go to our bedrooms in the evening, I always like to sit in bed for a little bit, maybe read a book or look on the laptop and watch some Netflix or something like that. So the chances are that my guest is probably going to want to do the same. So what I like to do is just to select a few books that I have that I think that they might like. I always like to look through my selection of coffee table books and think about the person who's staying over and what they might like to read. My friend Gabby, who is coming to stay, I know she loves interiors, houses, architecture, things like that. So I have selected two books that I think she will like and I'm going to share them with you now. So the first one is this one. It's called A Year at Clove Farm and it's by Christopher Spitzmiller. I'm not sure whether you know about Christopher, but he is a potter and he's most famous for his beautiful lamps. He actually made lamps for the White House when the Obamas were in administration, and he has a huge clientele. One of his famous clients is Martha Stewart, who wrote the foreword for this book. And this is all about his house in America, Clove Farm, and it's basically celebrating the seasons of the farm and how he likes to entertain and decorate for each season. My friend Gabby, I know, will love this one. As I said, she loves interiors, architecture, entertaining, basically all the things that we like. So I'm sure she will enjoy looking through that. Now, as we've been talking today about linens and making a beautiful bed, I thought that the next one was very appropriate, and this is called Linens for Every Room and Occasion by Jane Scott Hodges. Jane Scott Hodges is the owner of Leontine Linens, which is quite a famous linen store in America, which sells the most gorgeous linens, and this book is kind of a celebration of linen and how it really enhances a home. Now, who would have thought that you could make a whole book about linen, but this one is really one of my favorites. I've had it for many, many years, and it's just so wonderful to look through all of the ways that linens can be used in the house and how much they make a room. Now, I often talk about breakfast and how it's a meal that I generally skip. But when I go away on holiday to a hotel or to a guest house, breakfast is one of the things that I look forward to the most. I think it's kind of being able to wake up, get dressed, and not really have to think about making breakfast for yourself. And you can go down to the breakfast room or order room service and everything comes presented beautifully on a nice tray or on a beautiful buffet, and you can select all delicious things for breakfast. For me, it is one of the best pleasures of life, and so I like to do that in my own home when people are coming to stay, to give them that same feeling and experience. Now, one of the things that is a real rare treat and pleasure in this life, I think, is breakfast in bed. It's something that happens to me on a very rare occasion, and I always have to do it for myself because there's no one to do it for me. So what is nicer than giving your guest the gift of breakfast in bed, presenting a beautiful breakfast tray with all tea things, a selection of beautiful, delicious food for them to slowly enjoy in the comfort of bed, in their pajamas, just resting and relaxing in your home. I think it is one of the most wonderful things that you can do for a guest. So that is what I'm going to do for mine. I'm just preparing a silver tray for breakfast. Now this one has got a little bit grimy and dirty as silver does age, and I realised that I ran out of my silver cleaner, so I'm just doing my own little at-home remedy, which is some baking powder, some water and some dish soap, and I'm just going to scrub this clean. And even though it won't be as good as silver cleaner, it will really help to make it look a lot more shiny. Edinburgh is a pretty incredible city, and whenever my friends come here, they always want to make sure that we've got lots of stuff planned into our schedule so that we can see and do as much as possible. There are a lot of tourist attractions, beautiful restaurants, places to go for a coffee, places to go for a walk. So yeah, although I do like to create a schedule for my guests so that we can go out and do fun things, if they're staying for a weekend or maybe for a bit longer, one of the things I always like to do for at least one evening whilst they're here is to make them dinner at home. Now, of course, it is nice to go out to restaurants and not have to think about cooking, but I think one of the most wonderful things that you can do for someone is to take the time and effort to make them a beautiful dinner in your home. So creating a menu, thinking about what they really like, settling down with a bottle of wine, lighting some candles, setting the table, using your best china and linen. It will make them feel totally special, and it's something that you cannot buy in any restaurant, no matter how wonderful it is. So this is my guest room, and I know that sometimes when you live in a 2-bedroom flat that it's quite tempting to use the guest room as kind of a storage room, and I have done that a lot in the past, but actually it's very nice to have this room as its intended purpose, so that if you ever do have a guest come over, you can quickly make it look beautiful, whereas if you fill it with loads of stuff, it's always going to be that kind of spare junk room that just gets left as an afterthought. I love to entertain, I love to have people come and stay. As you know, my family live quite far away, so I need to be able to have a room where people can come and stay. So I always like to keep this room as a guest room and try not to fill it with all of my stuff. So the bed is very comfortable. I've got nice soft pillows. As I was saying earlier, I like to provide a mixture of pillows, and I've just kept the linen very plain, simple and white. It may seem a little bit strange, but one of my biggest pet peeves is when you go to a hotel and the towels are on the end of the bed. It's just something that drives me crazy. I think they should be in the bathroom where they're supposed to be. But I do understand that if you are having guests over and you're sharing a bathroom, you want to let them know that these are towels for them. But so I have put the towels here on a stool because it looks quite neat, and also I've got this little basket which is just a little welcome basket, and it's kind of, if you've forgotten anything, it will be here for you. So first of all, we've got a really nice bar of soap in a beautiful packaging. You can get these at any TK Maxx store, and they're very inexpensive, but they just add a little nice touch. This one smells like lemon. It also fragrances the room when you come in. Then we have some bamboo cotton buds. You never know when you could need those. They're always useful for applying makeup or removing makeup. We've got a muslin cloth for face cleansing. So this is all kind of a sustainable way of doing things. And then in here we've got a little pouch which has cotton pad, well, not cotton pads, linen pads for, again, removing makeup. So these are all washable. You can use them again. But it just lets your guests know that you've been thinking about them and makes it a little bit more special. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.